Hi everyone, it's Fran Westmoreland for Wow Embossing. In this little video I'm just going to take you through some of my favourite embossing powder and embossing techniques. So I'm going to be creating a little card in this quick little video that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to start off first with a piece of pattern card. I don't know if you can see, it's got a very subtle polka dot pattern to it, and I'm going to put some texture and detailing on it with some wow powders and in ink embossing, right way around, embossing pad. Okay. So this is a clear ink pad. It's slow drying and ultra clear, so obviously slow drying means it's not going to dry instantly, so you can't get your embossing powders on it. So it's really good for using with powders, etc., as it was designed to do. Okay, so first of all, my first little technique, I'm just gonna dab the ink pad directly onto my paper. So I'm applying light and even pressure, and when I lift it up I can actually see where I've gone. Obviously that won't pick up on the video, but at least I have a vague idea of where I'm going. Okay, so I'm just going to get a piece of paper, and then I'm just going to pop some embossing powders onto the wet ink. Okay, so first, let's see, I've got a nice array of powders here. I am going to go for the opaque British Summer. So this is one of my favourites. It's called British Summer because it's matte and grey. So if anybody lives in the UK, they will absolutely get why this is called British Summer. So it's a nice matte grey, and one of my favourites at the minute. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of the powder on. So I'm not going to do it all over the piece of card because obviously I want to put some different colours on. I'm going to put a little bit more on there, a bit heavier in the corners. Just that bit down there is making it a bit more even. And then I'm just going to put my paper to one side, and obviously I'm going to catch my card, paper, sorry, and just move that away. Okay, so got the card back with me, and I'm just going to then sprinkle another colour on. So this colour I'm using is metallic blue, so it's like a nice poppy blue. So I'm just going to bring some vibrancy onto my paper. You can see a nice colour going on there. I'm just going to empty that back into the pot. Alright, so I'm just going to heat this with a heat gun just to melt my powders, and then I'm going to apply another coat of embossing powder. So I'll be back with you in a second. So I've just heated this with my heat gun, and you can see now it's all melted. We've got like a nice excuse me, gleam going on with the powders there. Okay, so I'm going to again I keep getting it upside down. I'm going to get my clear embossing pad again, and then I'm just going to go through the same process. So tap in the areas that I want the embossing powder to catch. Okay, so this time I'm going to use some blue tang. So this is like a nice opaque royal blue colour. You can see that's a really nice colour. And again, I'm just going to sprinkle the powder on and just empty that back into the pot. And then finally I'm going to add some white puff powder. This is a really cool powder, and you heat it's quite coarse, and when you heat it up it looks like the surface of a moon. It kind of, well, it puffs up, so it's really cool, and obviously it adds some good texture to projects as well. So excuse me, I'm losing my voice a bit, I do apologise. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of that on, just to give a bit of interest of texture onto the card. Okay, so what I've got going on there. And again, I'm just going to empty that back into the pot, hopefully not spilling it. Alright, so I'm just going to heat this up, so I'll be back with you in a couple of seconds. Okay, so I've just melted my second layer of embossing powders, and this is the finished result. So this is going to be a nice background for my card. So I'm just going to use this as background paper. So it's quite nice, kind of mottled textured effect that you can do with your paper. So that's quite fun to do. So I'm just going to put that to one side. And next, another favourite embossing technique of mine is covering things with art gel and embossing powder. Okay, so this is just a wooden shape. Okay, and I've just got some 3D gel that I'm just going to apply with my finger. You can use a brush, but I'm going for the messy technique today, as usual. So I'm just rubbing this gel on. So it's a thick, heavy gel that you can obviously put through stencils and just gives texture. And I'm just going to rub that unevenly onto my chipboard shape. Okay, you can see that there. Just give my fingers a wipe. Right. So again, I'm just going to get some paper, and then I'm going to cover this in the primary blue tang again. So it's the royal blue. So I quite like that. So I'm just going to give that a good coat. And just put the excess away. And then I'm going to add, let's see, I'm just going to add some metallic silver. So this is like a really nice high shine silver powder that I'm just going to use just to highlight some of the areas where the blue hasn't caught the gel. So just go around like that, give it a little shake. I'll just move that paper to one side. Right, so again, I'm just going to heat this up and melt it with my embossing tool. Okay. Okay, so I've just heated that up, and you can see now we've got a nice effect on the wooden shape. You can see that silver embossing powder there is like really shiny. It just really looks nice with the blue tang as well. So that's a really good technique that you can use just to cover, as I say, chipboard shapes or wooden shapes or things like that with either 3D art gel. You can use paint, or you can use your embossing pad as well for that. So I'm just going to make a little embellishment here. I have already done the same thing with this chipboard scallop, so if you can see that there, and I've just backed that with some pattern paper, and then I'm just going to stick that onto there. So there's a nice blob of glue on the back, and there we go. So that will be the focal point of my card. Okay. Right, so next I'm just going back to the pattern paper that I prepared earlier with the embossing powders and the embossing ink pad. Okay, so I'm going to use a stencil on top of this now. Okay, so I'm just going to pop my stencil onto the card. Found my palette now, and again I'm just going to use some art gel with this stencil. Okay, so just going to spread this on gently with a palette knife. I'm just spreading in one direction with my knife to avoid it leaking under the design leaking under the bottom of the stencil. I'm just going to lift that off. So now I've got a nice cool ink splat on my paper, and then I'm just going to do the same again on this. Let's try and get that there, this edge. So this is just creating some sort of extra dimension onto the card. Lift that up, put that to one side. Right. So you can see what we've got there now. I'm really liking the look of that. That's what I was going for. So I'm going to get the blank piece of paper again, and I'm going to be sprinkling some powders on top. So I want a little bit of like a nice dark colour on this, I think, because there's quite a bit of white puff powder, so I just want something darker on top. So I'm just going to be using some the primary ebony powder. So let's try and get this on. Again, just going to give it a nice little sprinkle. So when this is melted, we should get a nice sort of real gloss shine, which is going to really make this piece of paper pop, I think. Just put it on the edge there. Oh, that looks cool. I like that. Alright, so I'm just going to empty the powder again so I don't have a disaster with the heat gun and it blows everywhere. And then I shall be right back after I've just heated this up. So this is the finished piece of card. So I've just heated that up, and you can see there that nice lovely sort of thick texture we've created there by using the 3D gel and the ebony embossing powder. So it's like really nice and shiny, and looks like blobs of oil on the card. So it does look really cool. And also what you can do on top of the, if you use this technique on top of your stenciled and embossed designs, you can also rub things like gilding wax on top to highlight, or you can also use just dry brush some metallic paint as well, for example, on there. So that's something you can do as well. Okay, so I'm just going to start composing my card. So this is my card blank, and I've just stuck a piece of pattern paper on the back. And next I'm going to pop the embossed paper on there as well. Just change where it goes around. And splodge nothing on the back. Just line the paper up. So I'm not going to stick this top piece of paper completely flat, because I just want to try and bend the ends up a little bit to just make things look a bit more 3D and less flat, and it just gives it a little bit of extra sort of grungy dimension. Okay, so that's what we've got there. Just make sure everything's stuck down. So we've got our little embossed chipboard and wooden shape embellishment there, and I'm going to sit that in the middle of the card. So again, I'm just going to put some glue on there, and I'm also just going to put a blob of the gel on there, so that just keeps it in place. And that's, as I say, because this is a great adhesive as well, so you can use it for two things. I'm just going to pop that roughly in the centre, stick that down, and then I've just got some scrap pieces of denim material, and I'm just going to stick those on as well. So I'm just going to use the rest of this gel that's off my finger. You don't have to be as messy as me when you create, but I think it helps the process. That's what I tell myself anyway. So I'm just going to stick those down. I'm going to go back to my glue now. And stick that. Down there. And let's see, I'm going to use one on that side as well. Just to balance the design out a bit. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to trim this down, because then I just want a teeny tiny bit. It's good fun if you can use offcuts of material or old clothes, because obviously you can repurpose them and make some good use of them, which is always good. Trying to work out where I want this second bit. Right, okay, so there our card is taking some shape now. So I've got a little piece of wooden barbed wire, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on as well, because this is quite a manly card, I guess you would say. So I just want to put some of these details on. So I'm just going to stick that down. Just nestle that in between the denim. Going that way. So I'm just going to trim that down a bit. Make sure everything's stuck nicely. Okay, so I've got a little wooden plaque, and I'm just going to stamp a greeting on that with some black StazOn ink. So I just got a little birthday stamp. So these are wow stamps that we've got. I believe they're called Pick and Mix. It's got a nice selection of greetings and words on there that are quite useful, and some shapes as well, which I use quite a lot. So I don't bother using ink blocks most of the time, so I'm just going to use my hands to apply the pressure on the stamp. Okay, so I've just stamped a little greeting on there, and again I'm just going to stick this into the middle. Oops, glue splodging everywhere. Of my design. I do apologise for my croaky voice, and also I've decided I want to put a little piece of paper in the middle as well. This is just an offcut of paper that I've just stuck under there. Okay, so this is what we have got so far. Okay, so I'm just going to use the stripy border from the Pick and Mix stamp set that I was just using before with the greeting, and I'm just going to tap some black ink onto that, and then I'm just going to go around some of the edges just to soften the card off a little bit, make everything look nicely blended and suitably grungy. I can just go a little bit over the paper and the powder, and you can see I'm not being overly neat at all. I'm just pressing the stamp in and around. Okay, so you can see I've just gone around the edges of the card with the stripy border stamp, so it just gives a nice finishing touch to the card, and I've just snipped the ends off the denim just to neaten those up. And there you've got a nice quick mixed media card filled with lots of different techniques that you can use with your embossing powders, so backgrounds, stencils, and covering your chipboard or wooden shapes with powders and gels or embossing ink pads. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hop on to wowembossingpowder.blogspot.co.uk for loads more inspiration throughout the month, every month, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.